Today I'm at the medieval church of St Mary the Virgin at Stansted Mountfitchet in Essex. Surprisingly, a very quiet and very surreal building in its own way. It has a lot of very early church architecture, particularly family vaults and memorials, and even has an effigy of a knight, as you can see here, cast in stone. But what is very sad about this building is that it is no longer used for worship and belongs to the church's Conservation Trust and is open for public inspection. What we're hoping to do today is to wander around the church and be able to touch base with the energies that prevail here. And with me today and joining me for the first time is my dear friend Mary Freer, who has come all the way over to the UK from the United States of America.
I just got here from the States. Actually, we just came from the airport to check out this very, very old church. It's very beautiful and there's a lot of things to look at, so we'll show you around.
This church, just wandering around, has its own special magic. I've been trying to tap into energies within the building, and the strongest that I can feel at the moment is around the altar and around here, which is the monuments to famous local people who are buried here. But what's interesting here, and very spooky, if you can get that on the camera down here, Mary, is the human skulls that are carved into the feet of the actual sarcophagus. That's really
nice.
Really weird. And there's one over here too, look. And the family to whom this is dedicated to is the Middleton family. And obviously looking at this, we're looking at the 16th century. But the most interesting object is what I mentioned earlier, just over here, is this carving of a knight. Just crammed into an archway there. Now, at his foot, that's either a sheep or it's a line of Judah, which would have indicated that he may have served in the Crusades, but there's no monument to this particular man. But even so, you can see that the feet are crossed, which is a typical sign of perhaps being a knight or a Knight Templar. So there's certainly a very good history here. Okay. I'm actually now picking up, the first time since I've been here today, I'm actually picking up on somebody who I think who is buried here, who is or was in service, either to the knight that I pointed out to earlier, or the Middletons who are buried over there. I just feel that his presence is here to sustain their presences within the church. It's almost as though this man is still in service to the family, and he is interred outside of this building in the graveyard. But I feel his presence here, and I see him more or less dressed. He's quite rotund, probably no more than 50, but quite bald, and wearing like a medieval smock top. So I get the feeling or connection more like a servant of the knight who is interred here. I've never felt that before on an investigation. I've been to many, many churches, but never actually picking up on a servant who is still attached to somebody who's actually interred. So that's quite an interesting first. So we'll have a little wander down and see what we can find. For sure, definitely over here is a very strong energy over the Middleton grave here, the monument. But we haven't been down this end. Now the energy changes here. Here the energy feels much more recent. Now I'm feeling sickness. I'm feeling presence of a woman whose name is Jemima. And surname is something like Bay, B-A-Y, something similar to that, maybe Day. And I can feel it very strongly around here. I just feel this tremendous sickness. I'm not sure whether this lady died here or whether some terrible event or act happened here. 17th century is the period that I'm picking up for this particular person. But a tremendous, just a sickness and sadness, but nothing more. It's really, really strange. We'll wander down here a bit further. As you can see, this was a very busy church once. There are piles and piles of pews, but no worshippers. But there are many people here in spirit, many who are still here in spirit. Here I'm feeling an energy, just here. And how strange. Come and see what's actually on there's a plate at the very spot where I'm feeling this energy.
Let's see.
That of the church warden.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm actually picking up here I was going to say a very protective energy of somebody, and this is perhaps more recent, probably about 60 or 70 years ago. Quite a slim man, quite elderly, with a moustache, very neatly trimmed, almost military, wearing a checkered suit, plain shirt and brown tie. And it's almost as though he is still here, part of the congregation, part of the church, looking after this building. Although this building, as it were, shall we say, has been abandoned by those of the living, those in spirit are still very much connected to this beautiful building. And that is evidenced by the amount of energy that I'm now feeling as I'm walking around. Well, what we're going to do is just follow all the way around to the other side, and then we're going to have sit down and see if we can pick up anything, or any EVP perhaps. Here, very strong energy presence, spike, almost like a spike here. I'm feeling quite light-headed, but that light-headedness I can't actually associate to a particular person. It's almost like a well of energy here. It's almost like a core energy area, which I would say is the centre, the spiritual centre of this church. It's very, very strong here. I actually saw somebody here. Just briefly, literally for a flash of a second, I saw a man in dark clothing. That's all I can describe. I just saw this dark figure which was sat here, and he was bent over slightly as though he was at prayer, or in quiet contemplation. And just for a second, he remained visible to me and then quickly disappeared. And his first name is Thomas. That's all I can tell you. The problem with energy and the problem with what I actually do is that sometimes when you wander into a building, they jump at you, telling you much more about who they are and their lives. And sometimes you pick up absolutely nothing, or on this occasion, you just have little flashbacks to particular persons or individuals. But a collective energy in this church is very, very powerful. I can imagine that this building at night would be very active. And it's such a quiet and tranquil building, considering we're only a few miles from Stansted Airport, which is very, very strange. I'll wander up here. And this Heathrow lady, look.
That's pretty.
Hester Salisbury. This is all carved, I think it's carved wood, or is it stone? Good one. No, it is actual stone. This is an absolutely exquisite piece of artwork. It's beautifully carved, and there is a history to Hester Salisbury, and she died in 1614. There's a funny smell here. I can smell fish. Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
How you pick up. But I'm not actually feeling anything from her at all, and of course she would be buried somewhere in the floor. And there's also a plaque up here to a Julia Sarah Hayfield. I can hear talking. The core area, as I said, was down at the bottom, so I want to go back down there again. Any spirits, any persons of this church, we come in love, light and peace, we mean no harm or offence. We just wish to make friendly and peaceful contact. If there's anything that anybody would like to say, could you say so now, please? As we sit in quiet contemplation and admiration of this beautiful building. Please, could you give me a sign of your presence? There's somebody here with us now. I could hear somebody moving around. Could you hear that? Please give us an indication of your presence. Archibald. Archibald, there's a man called Archibald. Can you tell me your surname, please? Something like Donald. Donald or Donaldson. Where's your connection here, please? I get the impression there is this person, a parishioner, who wants to know why we're here, what we're doing. kind of spiritual curiosity. I definitely heard voices at the back of the church.
I heard a child's voice.
Mm.
But I hear these little...
No, I think it's...
It's a bird. But I did hear some movement in like the up in the front.
Just seen the flash across there. You know where that carved chair is?
Mm-hmm.
Just saw a wave of light going across the back of it. Oh, I hear sound friend. Can you come closer, please? Now standing by those flowers. Actually, it's a woman. It's a lady.
I see something down here where the leaf is. Right
Yeah,
here.
you can see that, yeah?
It's like a misty, like a
Yeah,
smoke
it was
almost.
very,
Yeah.
very faint, and it just
I
moved
saw
from the
it.
chair across to the back
I
of
just saw
the...
it, yeah.
For those of you watching, there is a display of flowers near what looks to be a Dutch carved chair of the 17th century. And I saw a very grey shadow mist move across the back, very faint, across the back of the chair, and then onto the flower display. And Mary's also, you picked it up from the flowers, didn't you?
I did. And that last leaf right there is like an S.
Yeah, so that was definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an S. I saw it.
So we're being watched, and I certainly feel that there is, she was saying, a certain curiosity for us being here. This is a really strange building, isn't it?
Yeah.
Beautiful though, isn't it?
It's beautiful. I want to show you the spot.
Mary and I then went to the flower display where we earlier saw the mist.
As you mentioned, I did see like an S kind of design like this. It was a faint mist.
Yeah, and it went down those leaves.
Mm-hmm. Just right here at this side. I saw
And if you go to that chair, that's where I actually saw the mist first appear. Actually went across the back of the rail of that chair.
And then it just came up and it just hit right along here, and then it went down and then it vanished.
Yeah, it just melted away, and it was just like a curiosity, and I felt that it was there for a few seconds before it decided to disappear.
I saw that. I saw it plain as day.
So strange, isn't it?
It'd be dark in here.
Yeah, it is very dark. We've actually got a light on at the moment to make sure that we get as much detail as we can. Today in this beautiful church has been particularly fascinating. We've both touched in with a number of energies and personalities within the building. It is such a shame that this church is redundant for normal services. But of course it's also given us ample opportunity of being able to explore this beautiful building on our own without the encumbrance of other people being present. So I'm quite keen on finding out whether or not we've captured any EVP or other anomalies, but we've certainly both seen some weird events taking place here, and of course the digital still photographs, who knows what might be contained on those. So what we're doing now, we're moving on to Stansted and to the church there, which has been investigated before. I never picked up a lot of activity last time, but I'm going to show Mary this beautiful building, and hopefully we might be able to capture some EVP. So we'll travel on to Stansted.
I find this church really fascinating. I haven't seen such a church on tour in Europe yet at such detail. There's so many sections that are so interesting. This is a really special church.